It's pretty small comfort, cold comfort, I would say, for the Democrats right now, looking across all of the battleground states. Let's look at Pennsylvania, which is, of course, the jewel. 60% of the vote now in. Donald Trump ahead by 50.8%. And you can see how he's doing it. He's running up the table again in rural areas. But you can also see, let's look at somewhere like Philadelphia County. So many rallies. I mean, Kamala Harris finished her campaign there. So many rallies held in Philadelphia over the last few weeks for the Democrats and elsewhere. Kamala Harris is absolutely dominating there, of course, 77.5% of the vote, with 66% of the vote now in, ticking down. But again, look, she's what, 5 percentage points or so down on where Joe Biden was in 2020. So that she needs to be running up the table in those places, and she's not doing it. Let's look at Lackawanna County, 95% of the vote in here. Obviously, the home of Scranton, Joe Biden's hometown. He won it by 53.7% in 2020. She's winning it by 51.2%. Again, Harrisburg, let's have a look what's going on here. Dauphin County, we can see again, just doing a little bit, well, she's doing better there, but on 45%, lots of the votes still to come in there. And you can just see that in county after county, Kamala Harris, unfortunately for her, is just not doing as well as Joe Biden did in 2020. Let's look elsewhere. Let's see where we are with North Carolina. North Carolina, 84% of the vote now in North Carolina. Trump is ahead and maintaining that lead. In Georgia, we can see now we've got 86% of the vote now in Georgia, and Trump is enjoying a margin of 153,000 votes. Kamala Harris has got to try and find 154,000 votes of the remaining 14%. So there's only 766,000 votes remaining, and she has to therefore be winning a considerable margin of those votes each and every time. And unfortunately for her, we've been talking about the Atlanta suburbs all night, but we are getting more and more of this vote now in. Yes, there's 15% of the vote in DeKalb County still to come, but in Fulton County, we've got 15%. And if we just look at in terms of what that means in terms of numbers, it's only 88,000. And even with those sorts of margins that she's getting, it's going to be hard for her, I would say, numerically in Georgia, to be able to overcome the 150,000 difference that Donald Trump is currently enjoying. And even in states that we haven't paid much attention to, we're talking about Virginia earlier on in the evening. Harris has regained a lead there. She's got 54,000 margin, but not doing as well as Joe Biden did in 2020. Even in somewhere like New Hampshire, which I'm sure Kamala Harris is going to win, but she's got 52% of the vote. And again, she's just doing a little bit worse than than Joe Biden did in 2020. You can just see it everywhere. There is just a Democratic underperformance in all of the key battleground states. So although, we're not willing or able to project anything at the moment, you have to say that if you were Donald Trump, you would be feeling pretty comfortable and pretty happy right now. And in fact, on the basis of the figures that we've got, it's entirely possible that he has at least as good a win as he had in 2016, and maybe in the popular vote, he might even win it, something he has never achieved and, as we know, would sorely like to.
Right, and Lewis, I mean, are we looking at one of the very few elections where this blue wall does not vote as a bloc? I mean, what was the last time? I think 88 or, with
yes,
Dukakis or something.
That's right. So they've done it in every election since 1992. So it would have to be all the way back in 1988. Yes, it is possible because we're seeing some of them a little bit closer than others. But I think what you can certainly say on the basis of these results, partly so far at least, is that if Donald Trump maintains the lead that he's enjoying in the states that we've talked about, it is going to be off the back of a slightly different and indeed somewhat quite drastically different coalition than he enjoyed in 2016. In 2016, the narrative, of course, was all about the left-behind white voters in places like Youngstown, Ohio, and all those sorts of places that everybody started to talk about. If he wins this time, it is partly at least going to be because he has expanded his appeal to ethnic minority voters and younger voters that the Democratic Party had assumed would always be in their column. And I think that if this is going to be maintained, in many ways, that will be a far more crushing blow for the Democrats than even that first victory back in 2016.
But still predominantly men?
Yeah, I think the gender split is going to be there, but I think the story of the night could well be that Kamala Harris was not able to maintain or grow sufficient margins with women, and particularly with across the board, to compensate for the differences that she had with men, yeah.